right, good day to you. My name is Fred Oakman. And as always, with me today is Mr. Jake Peters. We are PS This Is Awesome, a PlayStation podcast. This is episode 172. This is a show where we share our feelings about the current state of PlayStation. Before we get on with the show, I want to invite you all to subscribe to our channel on YouTube, youtube.com/PS This Is Awesome. Visit us over on Twitter at PS This Is Awesome and Tumblr, psthisisawesome.tumblr.com. And if you want to make fun of our trophy list on the PSN, you can find me at anchorless_81 and Mr. Jake Peters at jakesaw01. As always, you can write the show at psthisisawesome@gmail.com. And most importantly, don't forget to share the show with your friends and be sure you leave comments and rate the podcast as you see fit. So for today's show, we're just going to be talking about games that are coming out. It's not really like a big week in gaming, so just hang tight. We'll get to the news. We'll start talking about different kinds of game stuff here very soon. But if you are listening to the podcast and not watching us on YouTube right now, we do ask that you head over there to indulge in some of our daily video content. You can find that, again, at youtube.com/PS This Is Awesome. And we just put up another video for our series called The Takeaway for Little Nightmares 2. And at the moment, we actually don't have any current plans for another installment of The Takeaway until we can free up some time to get another video edited for you guys. And I have noticed that those videos don't have a ton of views right now. And like I said in the last podcast, it takes me like 3 hours to edit them. I want to keep doing them. But like we said initially, I can't promise them every week. So we'll get some up there eventually. I've got some video files for Unravel. I'm taking video for... Jake's doing video right now, right? For the Gods one. Mm-hmm. Curse of the Dead Gods. And then I've got some video for Plague Tale Innocence. I know Plague Tale's an older game, but I am enjoying my time with it. So we've got some games coming down the pike for the Takeaway series. But with all of that out of the way, Jake, how are you today?
I'm doing okay. I don't know. Today's been kind of a tough day just because I just got back yesterday from a work trip. Oh, basically, that yawn is basically an expression of my feeling just because Wednesday, I went to work early. I was up at probably 5 o'clock on Wednesday. Yeah. Went to work early and then left there, drove 5.5 hours to an on-site location, worked once I got there, got to bed late, got up, worked like 14 hours the next day, got to bed late. I started work on Thursday at 5:45 in the morning, worked until 9:30 at night, went to bed late, got up the next morning, worked for like 4 more hours in the morning, then drove 5.5 hours home. I rested for about an hour and a half and then went and played a hockey game.
Oh my God.
So I woke up. I got out of bed at almost 10 o'clock this morning, which is super late for me. Yeah. I don't sleep in even on the weekends. And even at like 9:45 or whenever it was I got out of bed, like I felt like I could have stayed in bed for another 2 hours. And I actually ended up falling back asleep on the couch at like 11:30. But yeah, so I'm fine now. I feel better now, but I'm still kind of exhausted from my trip. How about you?
Yeah, I took a nap today. Speaking of napping, you took a nap at 11. I took one probably around 2. My weekend's been pretty busy recording a band, Sunday at the Station here in my studio. First band that I've ever recorded that I didn't have any direct involvement with, so it's kind of fun to turn the knobs for them, get stuff dialed in. So we did some drum tracking this morning. We did some last week, and we pretty much finished all the drum tracking. We have like some washboard and shaker to do here, maybe Monday. But outside of that, I wrote a new one of my land song late last night. It's funny because my buddy Donnie, who actually plays on the station, is a veterinarian, right? So there's a line I was working with. I needed a bird that had 5 syllables in its name, like a bird, right? And I was like, what the fuck kind of bird lives around here with 5 syllables? And then I Googled it, and I found a bird just called the American crow, and it's native to this area. And then like the lyric I was playing with was an analogy of like birds flying into like a window pane, right? And I was like, okay, but would an American crow ever find itself slamming into a window pane? Is that a thing that would happen with that species of bird? So I wrote Donnie really late at night last night. I was like, dude, would an American crow ever blow into like a window pane and like knock itself out or get hurt or something? He goes, well, it should be asleep at this time of day. And I was like, no, dude, no, I'm not asking. Like, I didn't have that problem here. We do have birds once in a while that hit our window, our bay window, but usually they get knocked out and come back to life. I did have one that died. I left it on the patio for like 7 hours and it never came to. So I think it killed it. I don't know how long it takes for those birds to come back, but usually I would think in 7 hours it would come back. I don't know what the...
Yeah, usually if they come back, it's relatively quickly.
Yeah, and I feel bad because I buried that bird in my mulch bed. Like I felt kind of bad. There's cats and stuff. I didn't want it like getting ripped apart by a cat. So like,
dude, just throw that shit in your neighbor's yard, and then it's their problem.
No, I'm
right?
a softie.
Their dog will eat it. Their cat will eat it. It's fine. It's just a fucking bird.
I would have felt terrible for him, man.
Birds hit, dude. I got those. I don't know if you remember. I got in my addition. I've got 6 big windows for that whole room, and I kid you not, probably every day that like on the usually I'm not out there during the day during the week because of work, but like on the weekends I'm sitting out there, and usually at least once every single weekend when I'm sitting out there, you hear just like a thunk or a fucking bird just slams into the window, and then you're just like, oh, whatever. I guess it's
Well, his response was that like birds slam into windows all the time, and I said, but an American crow, is that a possibility? He goes, yeah, it could happen. It could definitely happen. I say, if you have like a farm or something, it could slam into like a farm window. He goes, oh yeah, I'm sure it's happened. Crows tend to be smarter birds though. For anybody listening, they're very intelligent as far as birds go. And so I was working on that, wrote a song. I was going to use it for our band, The Flood, but it seemed to be a little too, I don't know, a little too aggressive. And, we need one more to have enough songs for One Up by Land to put out a third record. And The Flood has no shortage of music, so it got donated to One Up by Land, unfortunately. Maybe we could do them both. I don't know. Maybe both bands could play it. But I did that. Aside from that, man, I've been playing some games. I've been playing A Plague Tale: Innocence. It was on sale for like $12 on the store. I can't remember who the developer is of this game, but I'll tell you what, like, it's a good game. I really enjoy it. I'm surprised. It seems a little unsung. Like, it's a really good game. And the graphics are phenomenal. But I guess, go ahead. Yeah. You played it, right?
Yeah, I was just going to say,
I'm not through it yet.
It's really impressive for what has been lost in the industry, which is like the A tier, like middle kind of tier game market.
Yeah.
Like the old THQ games and stuff like that. The game we always fucking tout, like Warhammer Space Marine, was something in that kind of market, Red Faction, shit like that, where it's like, it's not quite AAA. It's not like a Naughty Dog game, but it's not an indie game either. No. Like it's they call it the middle market.
Yeah.
And I was really impressed with it. I don't know what your feelings are about it. My biggest complaint about it was the controls are a little wonky, especially the aiming and stuff felt a little wonky to me.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, and even like the voice acting is a little like, but you kind of expect that.
It's good.
You kind of expect that from a middle market game, but the graphics are incredible for what it is. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's pretty impressive. Well, I do think so.
So for anyone listening, it's based in like the 1300s. The Black Plague is happening. Seemingly, it's happening. It's almost like an escort mission. The Inquisition is happening. For some reason, these very saintly knights who are kind of scary and this faction, the Pope or this religious guy, is after your brother. And, your mom was some sort of alchemist. And throughout the game, it's really just a lot of stealth, which the stealth is actually pretty fine in this game. Like I didn't feel like they did stealth poorly. And I'm on chapter like 12 or 13, and I think there's 17 chapters. So I'm going to plow through more of it tonight. But the stealth is handled really well. They give you little indicators, like the sides of your screen will turn like a bright yellow, just like a fade into your view, so that you know that you're within somebody's line of sight a little bit. If there's people over there, before they even see you, it kind of lights up. So you're like, oh, okay, I better back off. The puzzles are kind of fun. You have a sling in the game. Your main character has a sling. You can use it, and then you part of the mechanics of the game is you get different ammunition for the sling, and essentially, if you get caught, you're pretty much going to die. They give you a couple cheap escape options, but they consume a lot of resources. And even if you do escape, chances are you're going to go down. But the one thing that I really thought was impressive were, because of the Black Plague, there's all these rats everywhere. And like when I say there's a lot of rats, it's not like, oh, there's like 10 rats in the room. Like there are hundreds and hundreds of rats that try to kill you and attack you. And they're really tiny. I was really impressed with the rats because there's so many. You know, like when people watch Days Gone and they're like, oh man, look at all the zombies. Like, man, for like you said, a smaller developer to get these rats to work the way they work and the animations and to have that many rats, it's visually impressive.
It's very impressive. And honestly, that was, this is another one of those games that critics really liked, but I don't know how well it sold because it was one of those games that you didn't really hear. It wasn't marketed a lot, so you didn't hear a ton about it. Like you would see it pop up on the store here and there.
Right.
But the rats thing is probably the coolest part of the game. Other than the controls, like I already mentioned, the only thing that I really didn't like about it was like you just said, I hate games where it's like everything is insta death. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like if you like get caught, you're dead. You know what I mean? Like give me a chance to run away or do something or fight back or do whatever. And I don't think that it was overwhelming in this game.
It was fair
at all. It's relatively fair, but there are a couple spots in the game where I struggled with a particular sequence and I was like, this is annoying. Like I wish I could just like, I know that if I was in this situation with my little brother or whatever, like I might not have a fucking gun and mow them down, but like I would do this thing or that thing, which doesn't seem unreasonable, but I get that there's balance in the game mechanics and all this stuff but overall, I really liked it. I think it's a really good game for what it is.
So I'll probably be doing a takeaway on that game, but yeah, I'm enjoying it. Like you said, Jake, it's impressive for what it is, and for $12, dude, like that's a steal. Like if you don't have Xbox Games Pass or whatever, $12 seems like a really fair price for that game. It still actually might be on sale. The one thing that is taking me a little hard to get used to is the 30 frames per second. Because I'm used to games now. I'm just used to it on the PS5 being smoother, and it's disjointing to look at and to play, but it shouldn't turn anyone off from giving it a try if you're interested in it. I like the time period. The setting's kind of cool. They found a really
interesting.
Yeah, they found a really good way to utilize like knights in armor and like, that kind of whole atmosphere with castles and without it being like a fantasy game or something. And I think Go ahead.
Have you gotten to the reveal yet?
No.
Of like what's up with the kid?
It was spoiled for me. I'm not going to say anything, but I know it's going to happen vaguely. I don't know.
It's one of those things it's one of those things where it's like, it's fine. It serves the game fine. Like but it's almost because I don't want to give it away.
Yeah, don't tell me exactly.
But there is like a little bit of a kind of a spooky element to what's going on. Okay. And I think the thing that kind of bummed me out is because of how up until like the last maybe third of the game, everything is very grounded in reality. There's not like, other than like this, like, why are these rats going fucking crazy?
Yeah,
why
that's
did they
a little
like
weird.
Kill your dog and stuff? Like that's kind of crazy.
They turn into tornadoes.
But like generally it's like the game is relatively grounded in reality. Like you said, there's no like people aren't winging magic around and shit like that. It's not like a fantasy game, which is very cool.
And there's like disease everywhere. Like Jake, you get unsettled with Resident Evil environments, like not necessarily the ghouls and stuff, but like dirty dishes and food left out. Did this game like upset your stomach? Because there's a lot of graphic like rotting bodies and you got to crawl through the muck and it flies buzzing around, like, and it really, man, it's so dirty and grimy that like I feel like I can almost smell the environment is how good they did at painting these environments. Like they're just so dark and gruesome and like it's nasty. I've never seen a game portray this kind of environment like this before.
There are a couple spots that it bothered me, but I think that like my aversion to that kind of grime is when it takes place in a situation where there shouldn't be. Like for example, Resident Evil 7, where it's like a modern family.
Yeah.
But they just have like rotting dishes everywhere and like fucking, it's like, that's where it gets disgusting because it's like, there's more to this. It's not just grime and grease, but it's like, there's like a psychotic element to it.
There's something
like
underlying.
The reason it's like that is because these people are fucked up, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre shit. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think that there's a thing with there's a presentation element to the game with all of the plagueness, the aspect of the plague and the rats and all that stuff. It's just the game is so atmospheric. It's really impressive for the market that it's kind of going towards. I'm curious if they're going to make another one. I don't know how well it sold, but I have to imagine that enough people liked it, unless it literally sold no copies. It couldn't have cost that much to make. So it'd be cool if they made a sequel that was maybe, because I think this game would go from like really good to a great game if they just refined it a little and just added maybe one or two like extra features.
And give us 60 frames on the next one.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously technical hurdles aside, like, just things about the gameplay, like give you like maybe one or two like extra abilities you can do, or like something to give you a little bit more agency over the world. Like the second game could be like, oh, well, what's the main character, the girl's name?
Amisha.
What's that?
Amisha, Amicia.
Yeah. Like maybe in the next game, she's experienced now. So it's kind of like the second Tomb Raider, right? Where she's like experienced now. So she has a little bit more agency over the world.
She has friends
maybe
that
they
are
give
thieves.
her, maybe they give her the ability to like, use a bow and arrow or something like that. You know what I mean? Like something to just kind of like, just jazz the whole experience up a little bit without changing the formula too much.
I'll have to see how this one ends. I agree that they could do so much more in this world at least. But I guess we don't need to talk a whole lot more about this game. I'm going to try to get a takeaway video for it. I thought there was one more thing I was going to just throw out there about it. Again, it's just so nice to be put into a time period that we don't see often in video games. And the fact that they give it a date, like 13 something, is just really interesting. And
because it's not like that Middle Ages period that everyone's familiar with. It's not like the more modern, like Industrial Age, which still
would be
I think is very cool, but it's not, we've got that a few times. It's like this weird kind of era in history that nobody really talks about because it's not really glamorous, right? It's like the fucking Black Plague and everything sucked. So why put a game there? You know what I mean?
Yeah. A lot of the stealth in this game for the listeners is revolved around mini puzzles where the game mechanic is that the rats don't like light. So you have these, you can light lanterns to scare them off. Sometimes you have to throw certain fire catching ammunition at lanterns far away to carve yourself a path, move different weird lanterns that shoot beams of light to kind of funnel off where the rats are so you can get around and navigate. And then, the only other adversity you really have are like the human inquisition knights and stuff, and just not getting caught by them and distracting them with pebbles. So it's really cool. There's really no action in it, but it's a good story.
There is something cool about like getting. Have you gotten to the point where you can like use the rats to like fucking maul bad guys?
Yeah,
because that's pretty cool. I mean, being able to do that's really interesting.
You have like
it's
rat
fun.
attractant because your mother was a. What did I say?
She's like an alchemist, right?
Yeah, that's the word, an alchemist. And you run into another alchemist in the game, and like he's like giving you new things to try out as you progress through the game. He's like, here, try this. This will attract the rats. And then the game kind of just says, kind of puts you in a situation where you just know that's what you have to do to get rid of like a bad guy, is like just throw this rat attractant on them and they just devour him live. And it's pretty gruesome, like in that regard. It's a gruesome game. No, granted, the Black Plague wasn't like that, but go ahead.
I do think that they did kind of set it up so that they could make kind of like another game. Did you get to the part yet where there's like, this isn't really a spoiler, but like where you travel to like the abandoned fortress, which is like where the alchemists, basically used to be.
Yeah.
Like, so they have like that place and they have a
hideout.
they have like a hideout, and then they have like their crew now. Like I don't like,
I've got
like
Roderick without a short. He's just a blacksmith's son,
right? And then you've got the alchemist kid, and you've got
the thieves.
Amisha, and you've got the little boy,
Yeah.
who obviously you find out his story towards the end of the game,
Hugo,
but like
yeah.
So like I feel like they have sort of like a little bit of a setup there where they could make something more out of it, and it would be interesting to see.
I'll tell you what I'm disappointed in. They announced that Robin Hood game, and it's just an online game. I would have loved to have seen like a legit first-person or third-person Robin Hood game. That would have been cool. But anyways,
is that Robin? Oh, I did see that it was online, but is it like a stealth? Like,
I think it's like a stealth online game or something. Speaking of online games, Jake, I'm playing the Division 2 again, and I got sucked back into it a little bit. I don't need to talk much about it, but I got back into it, and while it's really, really freaking confusing, I think I have my bearings. And I feel good about it. I read all the game patch updates. They give you an option to read all that stuff. So I understand what has been done since the last time I played. And I'm just cruising through, clearing control points and playing some missions and doing some bounty stuff, trying to track down some of these people. Jake, what are you playing?
So I beat and I platinumed Miles Morales.
Yeah. Fantastic.
So
congratulations.
Dude, Miles Morales is really fucking good.
Yeah.
Like I when I first started playing, I mentioned this last week. When I first started playing it, I was like, oh, it's more Spider-Man, whatever. But like by the end of it, the campaign is really short, like really short. Yeah. I was surprised.
It's a great story.
But if you do all the stuff, like I think it took me about maybe 15 hours to platinum it. It wasn't very long, right? But it's cheaper too. It was like $40, I think, full price, but it's been on sale once or twice. And I think that honestly, I'm really curious because the story is really good. Miles Morales as a character is really good. I'm really going to be curious what they're going to do with Spider-Man 2. Yeah. Because now you have both of these characters. You've got Milquetoast Spider-Man, and then you've got fucking Miles Morales, who's just kind of curveball on the Spider-Man concept.
And Spider-Cat now.
And Spider-Cat?
You don't have Spider-Cat yet?
Oh, you're talking about Spider-Man the cat. I was like, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So good.
I love that. I love that little costume.
Yeah. So good.
But I'm really curious. Like, I would love to see, I don't want them to get too in the weeds with something like this, but I would love to see in Spider-Man 2 them have like chapters where you play as Miles Morales, or like parallel stories that go on between the two of them. Or what would be really fucking wild is if you could choose to play the entire game as either Spider-Man or Miles Morales. I don't know how they would do that from a story perspective.
What if they do a co-op?
Co-op would be interesting. I think co-op is interesting, but I hope they don't put it in the game at the expense of the single player aspect of it, because the single player of both of those games is very good and the story is really good. It's been so long since I played the first Spider-Man. I don't really remember a lot about the story, but I don't know if I was as entertained or as invested in the original Spider-Man story as I am in the Miles Morales story.
Yeah, Miles Morales story is fantastic.
It was so good, even though I feel like it was too short, but it was still very good. I think that like what kind of hindered the original Spider-Man story was just the whole like there was all those missions where you played as Mary Jane sneaking around, and it was like way more drawn out and it was a lot longer. But yeah, I love everything about the Miles Morales story, because it's like if you play the original Spider-Man, you'll know this isn't a huge spoiler. Miles Morales gets involved in the story because his dad is a police officer that gets killed in one of the attacks that Spider-Man is involved in. And not that Spider-Man is doing the attack, but like a bad guy attacks and Spider-Man saves the day. This happens in the first game. Right. And so Miles Morales' dad dies, and this Miles Morales, the game, the story is like the aftermath of that. Like Miles Morales' mom is trying to run for city council or something
Mayor
like that.
Or something,
yeah. There's this political aspect, and then you have your old high school friend, and then there's this new like underground thing going on, and like that you have to try to. Peter Parker is out on vacation or some shit, so he's not around, so you got to take care of the city, and I think there's this really interesting aspect to it where it's like you don't see stuff like this very often. Miles Morales, a black character, which is becoming more common, but still isn't like a huge thing, especially in the superhero space, right? And then you've got his mom, who is, I think, Puerto Rican. If not Puerto Rican, one of the other is Hispanic from like Central America.
Right.
And then his dad was black. And so you have this character who's like a multi-ethnic character.
Yeah.
And he shares his mother's last name. So you really don't know like what the story is between like the mom and the dad, and like were they married, were they not, like, and so like it's this interesting, I like it because it's a very like authentic kind of family arc in modern America.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, it's not just this white bread, like mom and dad, and they're together forever, and they have this perfect white child that like is middle America and like all this stuff. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those stories. Dude, it's just that concept has been played and played and played and played forever. Yeah. Especially in this superhero space.
And a lot of it is a lie too, right? A lot of that shit is a lie.
Yeah.
And I saw a post on Facebook, not to derail this conversation, but I stopped and I started laughing because it said, okay, tired of seeing sitcoms where like the dad works at a grocery store and they have a really nice house. It's like, that's not real life. Like, you can't just work at a grocery store and own a fucking home in this world. Like, it just doesn't, the numbers don't add up, unless you own it.
Yeah. And like in this game, they have
an apartment, Morales, it looks like, right? Don't they live in an apartment?
His mom is a teacher. She's running for city council, but they live in this like tiny fucking apartment in Harlem. Yeah. And like even the whole concept of the bad guys, they're taking advantage of Harlem because they think nobody cares about those people. And it's like this, and and I'm one of those people that like, I like a sprinkle of social commentary in my games.
Sure.
I don't necessarily want them to be like heavy-handedly fucking fisting me with it, but like this game I think is really tastefully brings attention to like a lot of these social things, and just Miles Morales as a character and his struggles with like school and trying to be the new Spider-Man and
juggle family life versus having to be a superhero, and the dichotomy between that is super interesting. And it's a place we haven't been in with many superhero games, if any. I was trying to think, what was the last black character I played as in a video game, and I have to say it was probably the latest Mafia game. I can't think.
The only other
Walking Dead.
Know that
Telltale's Walking Dead.
There's Lee from The Walking Dead. There is the guy you're talking about. There was the guy from Watch Dogs 2, I think was a black guy, the main character in Watch Dogs 2. I never played that,
yeah.
And then the only other person that I can think of, and I'm sure we're forgetting some big ones, but the only other one that I can think of is the main character for Starhawk. You remember that game?
No, I remember the title, but I don't remember the game.
It was a PS Plus game on PS3. That's how long ago this was, right? Now, I'm sure there's more, right?
But that's sad, right? There's definitely, it's not right. Like, there should be more. There should be more
representation, and honestly,
of all cultures and all ethnicities in video games. Like, it's nice to see.
Like, the cool thing about this game is I'm not a fan of hip hop. I don't mind it, and I'll listen to it occasionally if I'm in the right mood.
All right, guys, this has been episode 107. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but like the way that they portray Miles Morales in his element, he's got a lot of the, they portray the culture of Harlem very well. His character is very like
realized. He's realized.
It's very realized. And the way that they like, even whenever you're playing the game and instead of the original Spider-Man where he like, when he jumps up and he shoots out his fucking web and he starts swinging. It's like this, like, burr, 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 like fucking superhero music.
Yeah.
When Miles Morales jumps up and he starts swinging, it's like this fucking beat. You know what I mean? It's so cool. Like everything about how they presented this game,
it's great.
I think is so great.
They knocked it out, dude.
Yeah.
They knocked it out. So if you haven't played Spider-Man Miles Morales, like I was tooting the horn when I played it. And I was like, Jake, you got to get this game and play it.
Honestly, my biggest regret is not playing this game when it came out because it's Christmas themed. And it came out like the month before Christmas. I wish I would have fucking played this in December because I would have loved it so much more. Mm-hmm. And it also honestly probably would have been a Game of the Year contender for me.
It's such a good game. It's such a good game. So
you're also anyway. I mean, other games I've been playing. We can talk about Miles Morales all day.
Curse of the Dead Gods.
I platinumed that, which was great. Curse of the Dead Gods. I've been playing it some more. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah. I don't know if I'm gonna beat it just because, like we talked about last time, it's one of those roguelike games. It's very rinse and repeat.
Kind of grindy.
It's fun, but you have to like grind to get, collect all these skulls, and then you can get better starting weapons, and allows you to kind of push through the game. I still think it's very good. And then this morning I started playing Vanquish Remastered. And they released this on PS4 last fall, but everyone has always talked about how good Vanquish is. And I remember I played it on PS3 for like the first 10 minutes, and for whatever reason, the game didn't click with me and I never went back to it.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I'm going to give it another try because I'm kind of in between big titles right now. For not until probably the end of the month at least, or into April. We don't really have anything major coming out that I'm super curious about.
Right.
So I was like, I'm going to play Vanquish, and I jumped into it today, and it is wild. Like, I don't know if you remember, because you played it, right?
I don't know if I have.
It's fucking wild. Like, it's so arcadey and fast paced, and there's like a score that's like it's keeping score. It's like
I don't think I played it.
It seems almost like it could be like a House Smart game. Like it's very arcadey, and it's got that like campy PS3 style, like Japanese made game where it's like, stereotypes of America and like really hokey dialogue and like, but it's like very kind of, you feel like at home almost playing it because you're nostalgic for these like older kind of B tier games that are just really, but it's fun. I mean, it's very fun. So I think I picked it up on sale for, I don't know, $10 or something like that, or $15 maybe. So
good get.
So I started playing that and I've been enjoying it. I don't know, maybe an hour or two into it. I haven't played a whole ton of it because I just started it today, but yeah, that's where I'm at.
All right. Good deal, man. Well, hey, let's snap into the news here a little bit. Jake, you did a good job putting together the news for us. I was actually at a concert when my buddies was playing. Socially distanced thing here. Went out there to check it out. It was enjoyable, but you threw the notes together here. We are recording this in the evening, so we're a little battered down. So if we sound less enthusiastic than normal, it's just because.
Also, it's just not a great news week.
Honestly. Not a great news week. First news point, Jake, that you have here is as IGN indicates that Diablo 2 is going to supposedly support the use of saves from 20 years ago. Likely only to be possible on the PC version of the game, though, but it's still interesting. So, yeah, who has a Diablo 2 save from 20 years ago?
Dude, honestly, I might have one somewhere. But, like, why I don't know why you would ever use it. I mean, why would you just
start fresh? Why would you just start fresh?
Why wouldn't you just start fresh from fucking 20? But they basically, if you read the article a little bit, it's talking about how the developer says like it's a remaster. It's not, even though it looks fresh, it's a remaster. It's not a remake. So technically, like the old saves should work in the new games. I just thought it was really interesting. Like, could you imagine fucking importing a save from 20 years ago into a new game and being like, oh, yeah, this works great?
Let me pull my E-machine out real quick from college and see if I have my Diablo 2 save on my two, I don't know, probably like what, 500 megabyte hard drive? Jeez.
Yeah, well, Diablo 2 would have had to been bigger than that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's unbelievable. That's cool.
It's just interesting. I mean, that part of this too is just
you're so stoked for this game.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I know you are. That took news point number one. News point number two. GameIndustry.biz reports that there's a patent for a new controller device by Sony, which they hinted at their release. I believe they said that they're working on new peripherals maybe by Sony for their new VR controllers. And the patent shows a wand-like apparatus, specifically mentions adaptive triggers and haptic feedback, much like the DualSense. This is good news.
Did you see it?
I didn't look, but I saw diagrams from a distance, like the small thumbnail. But, dude, I'll take anything over the Move controllers.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, what it looks like is a mix between maybe the Move controller and like those controllers for the Oculus, they're kind of like, they're like you grip it, but it's got like the strap that goes around your hand.
Yeah, I've
you
used them.
You use like your thumb and there's like a trigger, right? So, and you probably got one in each hand and you kind of wave them around.
Haptic feedback would be kind of cool in those too, for sure.
Yeah, like the article I was reading mentioned something about how you could use the adaptive triggers to like make it in haptic feedback to like make it give you some feedback as far as like if you're picking something up, like it's hard to grab it because it's heavy or like whatever. Like it could be interesting. I mean, I've often on this show talked about how like I am impressed by the haptic feedback in the DualSense, but I don't necessarily love it when I'm playing a lot of games.
Right.
Like, I think that in the VR space, this is a place where it could really shine because it's all about immersion, right? Everything is about immersion and making you feel like you're in the game.
Right.
So if they can use this haptic feedback on these little controller sticks that they've got coming, you know, to be fair, I put down wand-like, but basically what it looks like is, imagine if you took a pistol and then just took like the barrel off of it. Right. So it was just like the grip part. That's what it looks like.
I heard rumors too that there was a patent for the VR. Sony had passed some patents where like it was actually like a regular controller that would pull apart. Did you see anything like that in the diagram where it would connect or anything? I've
heard some rumblings about that, no pun intended, but I didn't actually see any articles about it, but I didn't really look that hard.
That's fine.
But I think that would be something that would be interesting, you know, to have like a controller that you can kind of pull apart and then use in both hands, and then so that way you could use it as a controller, or you could use it as separate sticks for doing VR type stuff.
Something modular that could turn into like even like something where we could use like a gun. You know what I mean? Like I would like to have, because I never used what was the PlayStation VR gun called? I don't even remember.
The aim controller.
I never used the aim controller, but I love the idea of it.
They fucked up so bad. Like the aim controller was awesome, and from what I understand, it was really good.
Impossible to get now, right?
They made it for that game Farpoint. You remember the game Farpoint?
Yeah, it just came out free last week. This month. This month it's free.
So they made it for Farpoint. And then after that game came out, they just stopped making them. And now they're impossible to find. So I hope they come out with like a new version or like a cradle for the new controllers that you can put them in to kind of make it look like a gun, right? Something like that for the new version of VR, because from what I understand, the aim controller really made that game work well. Farpoint is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Apparently it worked really great.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, hey,
yeah.
Dude, speaking of VR, we're going to skip to news point number 5 on our list. Along with a slew of newly announced VR titles for PSVR that Sony posted on their YouTube channel and on the Sony or the PlayStation.blog site, one of the standout games was announced. Doom 3 VR is being released March 29th. So not a whole lot of runway space for this. They just kind of came out of nowhere. Yeah, it just came out of the blue, man.
That's awesome though. Dude, fucking Doom 3 would be dope to play in VR.
Yeah.
The thing that I think is going to make it work is that for people whose only experience is like the OG Doom or like Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, Doom 3 is a much slower paced experience. So it works and it plays much more into the pure horror aspect and less into like the frantic action arcade, like monster shoot 'em up that the new Dooms and the old Dooms played into.
Okay.
Doom 3 was very much like you got a flashlight in the dark and like it's much slower pace. It's much scarier. So I think it's perfect for VR, to be honest.
Yeah, that sounds great, dude. And what's really cool about Doom 3, it came out a long time ago, so The awesome thing about it, dude, and you may agree, you may disagree, the graphics weren't next level. So
they were at the time, but now they're not.
Right. So they're not next level now. So if you go into it with the expectation of it to look like Doom 3, it will. Like, they could probably even up-res it a little bit. And like, I don't know if they're going to, but...
Well, I think that with the current PSVR headset, the resolution can only go so high. So it's going to be probably... It might honestly still look a little bit... You might still get a little bit of that kind of blurriness, right? But like, it's not going to look... Yeah. It's going to look reminiscent of the original Doom 3. I would expect. I don't know that for sure. I haven't played it, but
yeah, that's what we want. So a couple other games that came out with that. I actually did a lot of trailer reactions, and for some reason, if you're on our YouTube channel this week, the video capture that I took of these trailer reactions when I did them, keeping with the PSVR theme, most of the trailer reactions are for the VR games they announced. One was called Fracked, which looked like you were just literally shooting up fracking websites, or not websites, but sites where they're like drilling for oil, but they're all armed. Like all the guys are armed at the sites, and it's just like a skiing game also. So like you're using the sticks to like ski. So you're like Snow Job from G.I. Joe. Yeah, it's really weird. It's called Fracked, and like you go like this, and then like as you're moving, you can like shoot people, and then like it looked really actually kind of cool. It's just weird because it seemed like it was really politically charged.
I was going to say, Jesus. I mean, that's like...
I'm assuming that it's fracking sites.
You know what I mean?
If those who don't...
I would imagine. I mean, maybe not. Maybe it's like... Maybe if they're just using the term. Because like fracking is like... it's like I think they like fucking shoot water into the earth to like crack it open, and that's how they get the gas out or something. I don't remember exactly.
It's a drilling technique, really. Yeah. But it's causing a lot of damage to Mother Earth.
Yeah, there's a lot of controversy politically about it. I mean, there has been for the past 10 years. Mm-hmm. And for a game to come out where it's just you're literally shooting up fracking
They're not like unarmed. They're not like just innocent dudes working. Like they're armed. Like they're ready to take you out.
It's like some guy just like with his lunchbox and his fucking thermos coming out from his fucking family of 4 working at the fracking site. You just like mow him down.
I could see. Yeah, man. I could see something like that actually happening. But no, that's not what this game was. But it was kind of like that, but it wasn't. So that game... There was another game, oh man, it was called Smoke of the Song or Song in the Smoke. Don't quote me on that. It's a survival game in VR. And the way that the graphics looked very awesome. It was very stylized. So anytime VR right now on PlayStation tries to look realistic, it fails. With the exception of Resident Evil 7, which looked phenomenal in VR. But I feel like using a more stylistic approach in VR would be really cool. So this looked really neat. It was like, it showed like VR footage of like you like hitting like a stone, making a fire. And then like, at nighttime, animals creeping around and like the guy in the VR headset, like, making sure like he wasn't gonna get attacked and stuff. So like a survival game in VR, not even survival horror. There were like some random animals and some weird, but the colors looked really nice. There were like lions and stuff. It just seemed like a really cool use for VR, like a survival game in VR. Sounds awesome.
So like a first person, like Flame in the Flood or Don't Starve or something like that, where it's like, where you're literally just like gathering resources, kind of basically
camping out,
trying to survive. Like the definition of a survival game, not like these, survival horror type games now where it's like, you're just trying to
survive. This sounds really cool in VR. I think that's a cool thing. It's called like Song in the Smoke. Song in the Smoke or Smoke in the Song. Something like that. I did all these.
Song in the Smoke announced.
Did you find it? Okay. Yeah, so there's like a lot of these games got announced. Another one that was interesting was from the makers of Farpoint, I believe. No, it wasn't Farpoint. It was Galaxy maybe. God, I'm getting my it's late, like we said, and I've had a couple to drink. But I think, I don't know what it was, but it was like a co-op shooter game.
Oh, there's fucking dinosaurs. This game looks great, dude.
Doesn't it? Doesn't the graphics look phenomenal? It looks awesome.
It looks cool.
Dude, it looks like a really cool VR game.
It's like whacking rocks to make fucking spearheads and shit.
Yeah, dude, it looks awesome. It looks like it would be really fun in VR. It looks like it would be enjoyable. So, and then the sun goes down, it gets dark, and you can't like see around yourself. You gotta light the campfire and stuff. Dude, it looks awesome. It'd be so fun.
You gotta like cook your meat over the fire before you eat it.
Yeah,
like, this looks really kind of There's like a Wendigo and shit. Like this is a really fucking bizarre looking game.
Yeah,
it could be really cool though.
It's a really neat idea and implementation of VR. I think something that's as simple as just staying alive would be really interesting. I think.
Yeah.
But there were some other games, man. I can't remember all the titles. They released 7 of them, but Doom VR was one. I think there were 7 of them. We go on to the next news point, but if you're interested in that, you can check them all on the PlayStation YouTube channel or go to their PlayStation.blog site. So. News point number 4, but on our list number 3, Push Square.
All right, here, hold on.
Yeah,
what'd
you find?
So I'm just gonna list off the 6 VR games.
Yeah, just put them on there. Let us know.
So Doom VR we talked about. Fracked.
Yeah,
is the other game. Fracked is based around skiing and infiltrating a fracking plant.
So I'm right.
Overturned with gun-yielding mercenaries. Okay, so a fracking plant that has apparently been taken over by mercenaries. You're trying to kill them or something.
Why would it have been taken over by mercenaries?
Dude, who knows?
They just want to give you a reason to attack a fracking plant. Go ahead. What's the next one?
So Song in the Smoke, which we already talked about. After the Fall.
Yeah, this is the one
post-apocalyptic survival game.
There's a cinematic trailer where like 4 characters go into a shopping mall. And you can check I'm going to have a trailer reaction to that shortly on the YouTube channel this week. But they just go to this shopping mall, and it's weird. Like, there's, like zombies or something in it. And, like, one guy actually uses, like, a zip line, and one guy slides down the railing. And I was like, dude, if you can slide down the railing, it'd be awesome. And at the end of it, they shoot, like, a flare like you do in The Division, and this guy in a fucking minivan shows up, and he's like, hop on in! And you jump in and you escape. So it might be a co-op, first-person shooter, like, resource-grabbing kind of game. Go ahead. What's next?
So I Expect You to Die 2, The Spy and the Liar.
I didn't watch this, but I bet you it's cool.
Fred, what was that game that you and I played together?
It wasn't so good.
Because there's I Expect You to Die, and then there's the other one.
Don't explode, or you're going to explode, or something like that.
Yeah, don't talk, or nobody explodes, or whatever the fuck
game
it's
was
called.
A lot of fun.
Like, they both look very similar. I'm sure they're different games, but I keep getting the two of them mixed up.
I do.
So I Expect You to Die 2 is coming out.
Okay.
Zenith, The Last City, The Fracture. That's
I didn't watch that trailer. I actually didn't do one to that one. Didn't look cool.
This is kind of strange for VR. An anime RPG based MMO.
Yeah, I didn't see that either. What's that one called?
That's Zenith, The Last City, The Fracture.
Okay.
Players can. So this is an RPG based MMO game developed by Ramen VR that allows players to climb buildings and cliffs. Players can even glide around to reach distant places, fight enemies, or explore the vast world of Zenith. There has been no word on when the game will be released. So the idea of an MMO in VR is kind of interesting. Looks kind of like sci-fi.
If you just want to live in another life, yeah, that's a great idea. It's like Second Life.
Just live another life. I mean, that was like the whole thing behind like Skyrim VR, right?
You said it was made by Ramen Entertainment.
Ramen VR.
So I had the best idea for a ramen specific restaurant, and I wanted to call it Everybody Loves Ramen instead of Everybody Loves Ramen, like the TV show. So that's a great idea. All right, keep going. Is there anything else?
No, that's it.
All right, cool. All right, let's move on to the next one. Push Square indicates, and Push Square is a UK-based website, right?
Yes.
So they're indicating here that in 2020, it shows that the UK reportedly had 85.4% of its games sold digitally. And, while this is likely due to the pandemic, it is a trend that is all but inevitable now. And that's a nice little point to put in the news there, Jake. I think that we are going digital. I haven't had the interest in buying a physical game in a while.
Dude, I couldn't tell you. I mean, I think basically the start of the PS4 generation, at the beginning I was like, okay, physical games, yada yada. I bought Shadowfall. I bought the first Destiny physically. Uncharted 4 was another one, for example. But it's so convenient to buy them digitally.
So nice.
I think just like 2020 with the pandemic has really kind of driven this, along with Dude, the freaking sales now are like they're almost rivaling Steam as far as the digital game sales.
You can't
like, why
find sales like this at the brick and mortar.
Like, why? I mean, honestly, when it comes to the like PlayStation 6 or whatever the hell they're gonna call it, they might put a disc drive in it, but I don't know why they would bother. Save the money, make the console a little bit cheaper, or make it the same price and make it more powerful, as opposed to putting that fucking $20 disc drive into it or whatever it is.
I like having a HD Blu-ray player. Excuse me.
But think about it though. You're talking another 5 years, another 7 years from now.
Yeah, you're right.
How often? Be honest with me. How often do you nowadays put a disc into your fucking PlayStation to watch a movie?
When I bought the PS5, I bought a ton of 4K movies on Black Friday, so I do use it. But when it comes to gaming, I don't use it for gaming unless it's like a PS4 game I have. I don't think I own a single PS5 game on disc.
So movies are the one place that you really can't go out. There's not like a digital storefront that has a lot of good deals for movies.
Speaking of which, Sony just stopped. Dude, this is a news point. They stopped selling movies and TV shows, I think, on their store.
Really?
On the PSN or something. I think I saw something about this. You might want to Google it real quick. We're on topic, and this is a relevant news point. It just dropped recently, and I wish I would remember to put this on there. I was game-centric thinking. Something about the PlayStation Network no longer going to be... Now, if you did purchase TV series or news, or not news, but video games, or movies from the PlayStation Store, you actually can still access them, but I'm pretty sure they're putting the kibosh on selling them down the pike here. You seen anything like this?
So this is super short. I'm just going to read the whole thing.
Yeah.
This is an actual post on the PlayStation blog.
Yeah.
The title is PlayStation Store to discontinue movie and TV purchases and rentals. And it says here, this is Vanessa Lee, the head of video business for SIE. At SIE, we strive to provide the best entertainment experience for PlayStation fans, and that means evolving our offerings as customer needs change. We've seen tremendous growth from PlayStation fans using subscription-based and ad-based entertainment streaming services on our consoles.
YouTube?
With this, or Netflix or Hulu or whatever.
Yeah.
With this shift in customer behavior, we have decided to no longer offer movie and TV purchases and rentals through the PlayStation Store as of August 31st, 2001. 2021, sorry. When this change takes effect, users can still access movie and TV content they have purchased through the PlayStation Store for on-demand playback on their PS4, PS5, and mobile devices. We thank you, blah, 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 blah. So the thing that's kind of a bummer here is that I could think of a bunch of times where I have rented movies on the PSN because fucking Netflix or Hulu or Amazon don't have it.
Yeah.
And like, I don't want to own it. I don't give a shit about owning movies because I never watch movies. But like occasionally I want to watch something like, like the most recent example of something I could think of is like Sarah and I last Halloween or the Halloween before that, we watched all the Friday the 13th movies. Mm-hmm. And I have them all on disc with the exception of Jason X and Freddy versus Jason. And both of those movies aren't on any of the streaming services. You can't find them anywhere.
You got to get them on disc.
But I could rent a high def version of it for like $4. So I was just like, fuck it, I'll rent it. And it was convenient. Like you just watch it and then you're done. It's like $4, whatever. I'm never going to watch this again. I don't need to own it. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a bummer, but at the same time, it's like, am I really going to miss this? Probably not.
Yeah. Yeah. It is an interesting news point though. Thanks for pulling that up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. What else do we have here? Push Square indicates that Square Enix put out some details about the Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. The DLC is showing Yuffie, I think it is, based expansion being 2 chapters long. Now, Jake, I have no frame of reference. I haven't started Final Fantasy VII, but how long is a chapter roughly? So
this is why I put the news point in here, and I don't know, they can make the chapters as long as they fucking want, but Final Fantasy 7. So let's do some quick math here. I didn't think to put this in here. So Final Fantasy 7 remake took me about 50 hours to beat. And I believe, I'm not positive, but there was like 17 chapters. So that's like 3 hours per chapter, which means that this expansion will be about 6 hours.
That's not bad.
It's not terrible. I mean, it's not super long for a JRPG kind of chapter, right? But it's not too bad. So I just wanted to put that into perspective a little bit. Now, me personally, I take my time with games. So the average gamer might be able to play it faster than that. But I like to really kind of go sift through everything. So it takes me a little bit longer.
All right.
Now, do I think it's worth $30 at that price? Like when you can get all of Final Fantasy VII Remake for even at $60?
The expansion alone is 30. Does that include Final Fantasy VII for the PS5?
I think that's just the expansion. I think if you want to buy Final Fantasy VII for the PS5, including Intergrade, I think it's more money. I think it's like,
if you bought Final Fantasy VII for the PS4, you get a free upgrade. If you got it for free on the Plus, you don't get the free upgrade. So to get Final Fantasy VII with Intergrade, you're saying it's going to cost retail plus 30, $100, $90? That'd be crazy. I would imagine they bake that cost into just, but I don't know though. It's hard to say. I don't know, Jake. I don't know. All right, do some research.
The full PS5 version of Intergrade costs $70.
Okay.
You
so
can
it's $10.
buy. So like there's some articles up right now about basically how to game the system. And essentially what they're saying here is, if you right now go buy the PS4 version for you can go buy the PS4 version for $30 right now, and then you'll get the free PS5 upgrade. But I think you will have to pay an additional fee for the DLC. I don't know what it's going to be. I thought it was $30, but I might have literally just pulled that out of my butthole.
Fair enough. I pull a lot of things out of my butthole, so don't ask. IGN Outriders demo is getting a patch after 2 million people downloaded this demo. That's a big download for the demo. That's crazy.
Dude,
I haven't played it.
I thought for sure that this game was going to just die on the shelf.
Did you get the demo?
No, the thing is, I read this news point and I was like, fuck, I forgot I was going to download this. And so I immediately went downstairs and downloaded it, hoping that I could maybe like play it a little before the podcast, but it's big. It's too big and it's not done.
It's like 20 megabytes or something, or 20 gigabytes. Jeez,
yeah.
20 megabytes, dude.
But
TCP/IP.
Honestly, it's pretty impressive that they've got 2 million downloads for the demo, and it's not very often you see a demo patched. So that's another interesting thing about this news point.
That's a good sign.
It is a good sign. I don't know if it means that it's going to succeed because people were super hyped. Remember, people were super hyped on Anthem too. And played the beta for that and all that stuff. Dude. And then the game sold a shitload at the beginning and then literally drove itself into the ground immediately. So I don't know if Outriders is going to have the same fate or not, but maybe next week I'll be able to talk a little bit about the demo for this because I am actively downloading it as we speak.
That'd be super cool. The Avengers is going to require more XP grind for leveling with the PS5 update. That's weird.
This is one of those things where it's like, if I was playing the Avengers, now granted, I don't know how well the game is balanced. I've never played it. Like, is it any good? I don't know. But people seem to kind of like it that are actually into it. Could you imagine, like, let's say you're playing The Division and Ubisoft comes out and they're just like, hey, by the way, we're going to make a PS5 patch for this game, which they did. But imagine if with the PS5 patch, they're like, oh, hey, by the way, it's going to take you twice as much XP to level now. So you're going to have to grind even harder to get better gear.
No, I'd be checking out. I'd be done. I'd be like, you know what? You don't respect my time. I'm done.
Now, there might be more to the story, and I didn't look deep enough as to why they're doing this.
But this is the gist.
But they just kind of announced like, hey, we're going to fucking double the XP. I don't know if it's double, but it's like they're going to increase the XP requirement for leveling. Apparently there's a balancing issue where people are able to level too quickly. And my gut tells me that maybe people aren't buying very many of very much of like the
in-game purchases, that stuff.
Like all that stuff.
What the hell do they call that? I'm drawing a blank too.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank too. I don't.
What the hell is that called? Just in-game purchases. It's cosmetics. It's, I don't know. I know what you mean though. I know what you mean.
Yeah, but like the extra paid content, and like so maybe people aren't paying as much for that, and they're not getting as much revenue, so they're like, fuck it, what is double the XP you need to be able to level up,
right?
And so people are more likely to now, but that's a fucking gamble because how many people are they going to lose because of this as well? They're also they're kind of betting on the fact that people are invested in their character and everything, and so they're going to stick around, and they're more likely to pay for the extra. And I don't know. This is literally all
speculation. We don't know what the hell we're talking about.
For all I know, they don't even have.
I don't play the game
stuff that you could buy for Avengers, but I have to imagine they do. All these live service games do.
Yeah, but if you do, there you go. Rockstar came out and said that the PS5 version of Grand Theft Auto 5 will be way more than just a simple port. What do you think we expect to see from this, Jake? You never beat the game because you had corrupted save files.
This will never fucking happen. But I would love for them to be like, any version of Grand Theft Auto 5 you own gets a free
PS5 upgrade. Oh, it'd be fantastic.
I bought it on PS3. So
yeah, I did too. I never played it on PS4.
I don't think that would really work. Now, I do think that I thought we got like Grand Theft Auto 5 for free or something.
We got online or something for free. I think that they have a first-person version of this game now, where you play the whole game in first person if you want.
I think on the PS4 iteration of it, they kind of brought that out. Dude,
I saw this thing about Grand Theft Auto 5 and how it has single-handedly made more money than any game, movie, music ever in existence. Grand Theft Auto 5 has made more money than any other single entertainment thing, which is insane.
The game, when it launched on PS3, the game made $1 billion in the first day. It was either the first day or the first 2 days. $1 billion. And everyone was like, oh, they spent so much money. They spent $500 million on marketing and shit.
Think about what they made on the online, GTA Online alone, dude.
They literally, they spent probably, I'm just going to go ahead and guess it. I think they spent somewhere in the neighborhood of like $500 million to make this game with all the marketing and all the shit that went along with it. They doubled their fucking cost in 1 day, 2 days. $1 billion. Do you know how much $1 billion is?
No, I can't fathom a fucking $1 billion. I can't, dude. I can't even fathom like a couple grand. Like it was just like, dude, to have $1 billion as a company, like they could like, I don't know. I mean, there's absolutely no reason for them to make another game. There's no fucking reason.
I hope they make another single player Grand Theft Auto game because that's the only way I'm going to play it personally. But the thing is that the thing that's great about this, and I hope this is how they're using it, is that Grand Theft Auto Online makes them so much money that they can afford to make a game like Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah.
That is this huge, super expensive game.
Sprawling story.
And they don't have to make hand over fist money on it because they've got this fucking cash cow and Grand Theft Auto Online that literally makes them billions of dollars.
It's printing
a year.
Money. Like that game just prints money for them.
It's absolutely insane.
Could you imagine? Like I just can't imagine like falling ass backwards into that kind of cash. Like that kind of I mean, Take-Two, I mean, geez, I don't know.
Short of me winning the lottery, I will never know what that's like.
No. No, we won't even know what it's like. I mean, like maybe when we retire, we'll know what it's like to have a decent sized bank account. But
maybe if we get hit by some like ridiculous hyperinflation, like in Germany after World War I, and like it costs $10,000 for a loaf of bread, like that, maybe I'll have $1 billion then.
Yeah, when the economy requires it. Yeah,
when we're literally living in like non-American.
When everybody else has $1 billion is when we will.
Yeah,
that's freaking insane. But yeah,
I'll still be paying off my student loans at that point. By the way,
I think they're just gonna put more time and effort into Grand Theft Auto Online missions. I don't think GTA 5 is going to have much more in the PS5. It might run at 60 frames a second. It might. I don't know. They might tout like faster load times. It might tout like ray tracing or something. Maybe a high whatever mode.
I will be honest with you. If the PS5 version, meaning the single player aspect, not the online stuff, does tout some more junk, and I can get like a free upgrade or a relatively cheap purchase of the PS5 version, I might jump back in. I mean, I saw you had a note in here about it. Like, I never beat it. My save file got fucked up, and it wasn't that the save file got corrupted. It's that the game glitched, and it would not give me the next objective in the story. So I literally was just stuck. It wouldn't trigger the next.
You got to press triangle. Did you do that? I'm just kidding.
I tried, yeah. But like, I remember I enjoyed it when I was playing it. Those games are just fun to run around in.
They're good games. They're good games.
When that game came out, this game has been out for so long now. When that game came out,
8 years maybe.
Sarah was in college still.
Yeah.
And I remember taking my PS3 down there, and she was like working on homework or something, and I just like had my PS3 hooked up to her TV, and I literally spent hours, and I did this when I was a kid in Grand Theft Auto 3. I spent hours just driving cars around and jumping them off of shit.
Ramping them, causing carnage.
Or like trying to hill climb stuff, or just like running over people and running
helicopters and shit.
And like,
yeah.
It's like, they're so fun.
They are a lot of fun
to play in that world.
And honestly, the story is really fun on those too. Like the game, when you get roped into the stories and the side missions, it's a lot of fun. I would like to see single player DLC, but I don't think we're ever going to see that. I don't think the Ballad of Gay Tony.
I think they pretty much acknowledge that's never going to happen.
Or the other one, the biker gang one that we had, Lost in the Damned. I don't think we're going to see that kind of stuff again. Although
you played GTA 4, right?
Yeah, I think the last Lost in the Damned, the Ballad of Gay Tony were the standout parts of GTA 4. Like those little
I heard that
so
like
good.
The Ballad of Gay Tony specifically was very good.
So good.
And I never played GTA 4. The last GTA game I played before GTA 5 was a little bit of San Andreas.
Okay.
My bread and butter was the PS3 or the PS2 games, so GTA 3 and Vice City.
Those are good too, man. I liked them all.
Which I guess technically San Andreas was on PS2 as well, but I was in college and I didn't really get into that one.
Yeah. Dude, the listeners are getting more bargain for their buck today. We're going all out on this podcast. For not a very busy news week, we're pushing over an hour now at this point. But hey, a lot of previews have been popping up for Hazelight's latest effort, It Takes Two, which is the predecessor to their co-op game, A Way Out. Have you seen it? This game actually looks awesome. Have you seen this? That Joseph Farrow guy, you can't stand him.
Well, no.
Okay, I thought you were going to say get stand this guy.
I cannot hear the phrase "It Takes Two" and not think of that fucking song from that movie. It takes two, baby. It takes two. You don't remember this?
No.
Oh my god.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's literally all I can think about.
That's funny. That was a good version of it, though. I think I have heard that song, but this game actually looks awesome.
So this is like a
co-op
I'm looking
game.
at it right now. It's like a animated kind of.
It looks like Pixar or something.
Yeah, it looks really kind of bizarre because this is the team that did Brothers, right?
Brothers of Tale of Two
Sons. And then they did A Way Out.
They did A Way Out.
Excuse me. And then they did. Now this is their
this is their follow up to A Way Out.
March 26th.
I think this game was part of some sort of EA grant or something. Like they gave additional money for certain studios to do different projects, and I think that EA might have been slightly involved in this game somehow, made this possible, maybe give them more of a team. I'm not certain, but just as far as guy, this game looks sick.
I tell you what, the thing that really stands out to me is if you go from Brothers to A Way Out to this game, the variance in art style between those three games is really interesting because most studios kind of stay in a wheelhouse.
Yep.
And these three games are completely different. Like their art styles, their animations, they're completely different. It's really kind of cool.
Yeah, and they're all kind of like they're not giving up on co-op, and I love that about them. I think there's a lot to be said for a good co-op game, using your brain. So this game looks awesome. If it's not on your radar, just check it out. So that's enough with the news today. But that game's coming out fairly soon, I think, and there are some demos out there for major video game news sites to play and talk about. And I watched a couple playthroughs of the demo, and it looks awesome. This game looks really cool. That might be a game you and Sarah might really enjoy, dude. That game looks like a lot of fun. But new games coming out March 2nd. We got Ground Zero Texas on the PS4, Harvest Moon One World on the PS4, Maquette, which was a PS Plus game on the PS5, PS4, Neptunia Virtual Stars on PS4, Valentine Candy Break, PS4, and Yakuza Like a Dragon on the PS5. March 3rd, we have Ascend Shaft and Endless Shaft, PS4, Card Demolition Clicker, PS4, Cave Bad, PS4, Gravifier, PS4, Sir Love-A-Lot, PS4, and Valentine Candy Break, head-to-head, PS4. March 4th, a lot of games. Into a Dream, PS4. Karabotica, PS4. Kill It With Fire, PS4. Laid Back Camp Virtual Lake Matasu, PS4. March to a Million, PS4. Male Mole, PS4. Mortal Shell Enhanced Edition, PS5. Neoverse, PS4. Pocket Harvest, PS4. And Pro Deer Hunting 2, PS4. My favorite game. Just kidding. March 5th, Dreaming Sarah, PS4. Life of Fly, PS4. What the hell would a game called Life of Fly be about? Radon Blast. They're talking about my basement, PS4. St. Patrick's Day Break, PS4. Tiny Hands Adventure, PS4. And 2 Point Hospital Jumbo Edition on the PS4. A lot of PS4 games, a couple PS5 games. None of them really stand out to me, except maybe the Yakuza game. I think people are excited about that game. Maquette was the PS Plus game we got recently.
I think
Mortal
Shell was another game that was relatively popular.
I think you're right at that. But dude, that's all I have for the show. Jake, do you have anything else you'd like to say before we close out with today's music guest?
No, I don't think so. I'm trying to think of what's the next big
Returnal, April.
Is that the next one?
It's got to be.
Dude, Returnal is one of those games.
Doom VR, March 26th or something.
Doom 3 VR, yeah.
Yeah.
But dude, I want to buy Returnal. I don't know if I'm going to buy it at launch though. I got to be honest.
Yeah.
It looks really good. But I need to know what the deal is with the roguelike.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, man. Because those games,
if
it's too hard,
I just don't want it to be a thing. It's like I want to be presented with a story, and Housemarque games. The reason why they work well is because they're arcadey and they're very it's like a game where you can play the loop. Like Resogun. You could beat the whole fucking thing in 30 minutes. And it's all about getting better at it and figuring out how to be good and get a high score.
Mm-hmm.
This game doesn't seem like you're chasing a score.
No.
There's a story, but the combat is very reminiscent of Housemarque and Resogun.
Arcadey.
So
third person.
How are they going to marry all this? When I play a single player story experience, I want to travel through the story, right? I don't want to be sitting there fucking doing this Groundhog Day thing where I like can't, where the story won't progress until I fucking play the same level 50 times. Like I don't want, I don't know. We'll see. I have faith that it's going to be good because Housemarque is a good studio.
I think, yeah, dude.
But I don't know about this. I don't know what it is yet. I don't know what it. I want to know what it means.
Nobody does, and I think that one of the things that I had read or had heard or had seen was that part of telling the story, part of the dying process reveals more and more of the story as you play the game. So you're rewarded almost for dying with additional story.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
That's how it works. If it's like, oh, you play and you die and you have
get
to start
a dream
over,
sequence maybe or something.
But it like unveils this aspect of the story that then maybe makes it a little bit easier for you, and then you get a little bit farther, and then you fucking die, and then like they could be creative about it. I would love to see a spin on the roguelike where it's not just this, where it's like a kind of a hybrid between like a traditional linear progression type game.
I agree.
And these roguelites where roguelite, they're both
God, I can't
the same thing
stand
nowadays,
those
like,
words. Yes.
But like the fact that it's like this just loop, and those games really strive on having great gameplay, and that's something that Housemarque is known for. So we'll see. I don't know. I am excited about it. I think it looks really good. I'm just worried that I'm going to go out and spend $70 on this game
and not like it,
and I'm not going to like it because I can't like just progress. You know what I mean?
Buy the disc version and sell about the GameStop for $5.
Well, you get more than that out of it, but it's not. It's maybe half of what you pay for it. Yeah. So it's.
Yeah,
I think it's more than that actually, but it's a ripoff.
I hear you. I'm with you. Yeah, it's a good closing point. I've got nothing except I just want to thank the listeners for tuning in every week. If you're new to the show, we do welcome you. If you are a returning listener, thanks for sticking with us and listening to us talk about PlayStation. It is a labor of love. Put a lot of time into this podcast, and I have slowly been watching the YouTube subscribers rise. If you're a listener, you haven't yet subscribed to the channel on YouTube, please, please, please do. Making that video content is very time consuming, but we do want to keep putting stuff out there to try to rope in new listeners. And as always, the music at the end of the show may possibly be excluded from our YouTube channel for copyright reasons. So don't forget, you can download and or stream this episode as well as others on your preferred podcasting platform. But as mentioned, we didn't mention it earlier, but we do have a closing track. We try to put closing tracks on at the end of all of our, I almost said at the end of all of our concerts. It's getting freaking late, man. At the end of all of our shows. And this is a returning band. We have had Archway on the show before. This band is called Archway. They're a Pennsylvania band. They're friends with my band, One Up by Land. And they have a song called Metanoia, I believe is how it's pronounced. And you can find more about Archway at archwaypa.bandcamp.com. And don't forget, if you have original music that you'd like to have featured on our show, you can send an MP3 to our email account, psthisisawesome@gmail.com, along with your band name and the title of the song, and we will notify you when or if it goes live. So thanks again for tuning into PS This Is Awesome. This has been episode number 172. So like Fear, Far Cry, and Fez. P.S. This is awesome.
I swear I'll be alright. Just now's not the time. It's not always, but I feel it might be down the waterfall. Just like me, so beautiful after all, free falling eternally. I freeze at the surface, forever flowing underneath. Can't wait to crack, go of the misery. It's a perfect sight to the eyes either way. The feeling of being frozen, can't imagine you wanting to stay. Why would you want to stay? 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 I used to find happiness even in the times I felt it was senseless. Used to my mind. constant struggle, and I can't hide any longer, any longer. Can you feel the tide? Feel the tide? It's a constant struggle, and I can't hide any longer, any longer. I've been slipping under. I used to find happiness even in the times I thought it was senseless. Used to run mine. I didn't notice the changes, but I'm changing. And I'm so afraid. Oh, I'm changing. Oh, I'm changing. Can you feel the tide? It's a little bit stronger. Can you feel the current? It's pulling me under. Can you feel the tide? It's a little bit stronger. Can you feel the current? It's beautiful after all. This gravity weighing down on